Hey everybody, welcome back to the agency. I'm Wandering Kid. So here I've got basically the giant lifter design for the Aries boots. The boots is going to be our fueling ship. Of note, please notice how much this is going to take to put into orbit. 1.15 million roots. The core of the craft is a series of rockets with atomics on the bottom, and I've got a KR2L in there for more kick, so that we can get some speed out of it. It's got some fuel down here for them, and I've got a couple of larger fuel tanks up here. Buried in the middle is a bunch of monoprop tanks to fuel everybody up. At the front of it is a Clampotron docking port senior, and out here on the side are a pair of shielded docking ports to allow things to hook up to it. I don't have a junior on this. I'm not planning on it either. The sword has a junior on its top where the tug goes, and I can always pull that out if I need to hook something up with a junior spot. But I'm not sure if I'm going to launch this thing yet. It is 2,000 tons, 180 parts. A lot of that is Sepratron and structural bits and pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, this might take a bit. Oh, I also need to get some RCS on here and some more structural pieces. But I'm going to launch this at some point. I just figured I'd show you it now since I had just done a first draft on it and kind of got it where I want it set up to look like. So because explosions are fun, and because I wanted to bring this out to the simulator, aka my playground game, I think more struts are necessary. Definitely think more struts are necessary. Now, the first thing that seems to happen is a structural failure and linkage between the KR2L and the Mark III, the Mark 2.5 meter adapter. Now, the only place I've got a KR2L is down here. Additionally, the Mark III rocket fuel fuselage long and the Mark III propellant tank falls apart. How curious. I think maybe I have to shift these down so it doesn't torque the inner pylons over quite as badly. Alright, so that means that these are pulling this apart. Let's shift things. So let's see how that behaves. Now we're looking, that's looking better. Let's put this back on the launch pad. Now remember guys, this is in the playground, so I'm not blowing through funds and stuff like that here. That's looking a little more steady. Alright. Let's bring this up to about 5/6, maybe 4/5, somewhere in there. This thing's kind of got a mind of its own. I've only got the one SAS module on top of this, so we've got a pretty significant issue with being able to control things well via SAS. We have a catastrophic failure. The first thing that broke appears to be a structural failure between two of the monoprop tanks on the top. Then it starts breaking up the adapters and everything else. Spontaneous disassembly. It's a pretty fireworks show. going to do is I'm going to put 4 more reaction wheels up here. And we're going to slap some more struts on this. Am I still inside my 255 part count? I am. I'll put 1 more set of struts. Let's see. No, you're hooked on there pretty well. It's these outer ones, I think, that are getting a little rambunctious on me. So we'll just connect them together. More boosters, more struts. Okay, it looks like we loaded successfully. No spontaneous discombobulation on load. Let's see what happens now. Well, it's definitely more stable. Well, let's see if I've got my timing right. I want to inject these engines so that I'm straight up when I let go of the first set. Just in self-defense. Oh, looks about right. Alright, we're clear of them. My KR2L is running out of fuel. That's interesting. And unexpected. So a couple of fuel lines may be necessary. I'll have to bring up a refueler or two for this, probably when I bring it up for real. I may want to add some fins just to help counter all this roll I'm getting. Alright, and disconnect. Alright, so with modifications, this design does work. Need a few more. I'm going to need to fuel the center tank from these pods on the outside. But this is what the Aries boots will look like in space. Excellent. So, well, now I just need to do 1 or 2 more things to it. We'll save it off, we'll stick it back into the VAB folder for the agency, and we'll launch that when I've got enough money. So I'm tooling around, and I'm playing with the new Test-2D, and I'm finding a couple of flaws. The first one is my, what do you call it? The SAS component inside it, a little overpowerful for when I'm trying to drive around on surface. It's got some serious pull. The other problem is I just managed to snap off one of my micros landing struts when I went over a small hill there. So those need a little bit more ground clearance. Something is weird, where it seems like this thing gets stuck in mud or glue or something every now and then. That or it's just the local terrain. I mean, I know I'm at a 7.6 grade, but that wasn't that bad. I was able to get up to 15 meters per second before. No problem going uphill. So I'm not quite sure what its issue here. So there seems to be a couple of things not working as planned here. See, now once I got out of that particular piece of terrain, I'm off and running again. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I'll have to go in and I guess I'll be putting together a 2E here. For one, I want to be able to turn on and off the SAS module that's in here. And I'm going to have to take a look at this landing gear and getting a little more clearance for it. But otherwise, it seems to work alright. As long as I don't hit these little glue patches. It certainly travels at a reasonable rate. We'll just have to turn on fine controls to make any direction adjustments here. Sometimes it works. And it's just acting a little weird. So I'll be bringing this back to the barn at some point, but we'll get our use out of it. I've got 2 xenon refuelers sitting in orbit on the moon at this point. I think I'm good for a bit. Well, it looks like in theory I still have enough gear on the Test 2D to actually use the gear to protect the wheels for landing. I ended up tearing off 2 of them already. Getting a refill on my electric charge. This thing is very, very bouncy on the moon, and I spent a lot of time re-rolling it back in the right direction. It seems to hit random rocks and just jump around for no good reason. I'm wondering if these struts are catching the ground somehow, and that's what's causing it, particularly this one up in front, which is quite possible. So we'll have to take a look at that. I'm pretty sure I can get a little more clearance here without an issue. Simply because when I had tested this out, I was on the launch pad, and these things tend to sink into the launch pad. So I didn't realize I had as much clearance as I do. That'll be one of the things I check into here. The other is I want to make sure that I can see the SAS module, which, that's battery. I think it's in there somewhere. There it is. And I could turn that off if I wanted while the panels are up, but I want to make that a lot easier to find. And unfortunately, the final verdict for the Test-2D is that it's actually got a little too much oomph. But I'm pretty sure I keep jamming these landing struts, so I'm going to go for a redesign and try this again. I really like the design in general, it's just having a couple of personal issues. But yeah, we blew the guidance unit off this thing and a couple other things, and, well, it's dead, Jim. So I'm messing around with the rebuild on the 2E, and I'm taking a look at something. If I look at my micro landing struts, they have an impact tolerance of 150 and a crash tolerance of 10 meters per second. Alright. Take a look at these wheels. They have an impact tolerance of 300 and a crash tolerance of 100 meters per second. I don't think I need landing gear. So what we're going to do is remove them. I just don't think they're necessary. Now, one of the things I had also done in the action groups was, on the SAS, I had hooked the small inline reaction wheel to it. But I think I'm going to take that out as part of this test and just see if the micro struts were my primary issue. I'm a little worried because that means the bottom of these, the bottom of this in particular, the remote guidance unit, is a little at risk of there. So I think I'm going to bring that up a hair. Yeah, that gets it out of risk. It does mean that my solar panel goes straight through it, but oh well. Yeah, I think this may work. If my biggest problem was those micro struts, this will take care of a lot of my issue. If it wasn't, I'm going to go fall over a lot again. So as a brief interruption, I wanted you guys to know that one of my RC SLSs I sent out was 4500s. Had plenty of Delta V left over after completed its satellite runs. And since we're getting close to the duna approach anyway, I've got it set up for an early duna insertion. Its encounter is 272 days away. That's expected, unfortunately. The launch window I'm expecting to use for my guys is somewhere in the 250 to 260 range, somewhere in here. So this will visit Duna early, just scout the area for us, double check that I haven't lost my mind en route, and take a quick looky-loo and see what's going on. But I figured I'd let you guys know that. We'll get back to that in some time. So I know this episode is a bit jumpy, guys. We're kind of bouncing around between a bunch of different things. As you can tell, down on the bottom, I've been grinding away at getting some roots up. So I'm working on some funds. I've been thinking about picking up asteroid contracts, but that's... I'll get back to that. Asteroids are one of those you can have a lot of fun or they can be really annoying. Kind of depends. But in this particular case, I've got a contract to bring an 18 Kerbal with cupola. Cupola? An 18 Kerbal with cupola station up into solar orbit. Now, one of the nice things about the Mark III parts is that you can get 16 Kerbals into a single passenger module. Now, is that module light? Absolutely not. Oops, nope, not structural, utility. It is 6.5 tons, but for 16 Kerbals, let's compare 4 hitchhikers, which ends up at 10 tons. So you do save some mass off these things. I'm gonna just kind of shoot this off into space, and if there's anything interesting about it, I'll show it to you. Probably won't be. This should probably be a pretty generic launch, but hey, you know what? I haven't shown you launching anything actually in career in a while, so why not? We'll stave off Station 18 here. This is going to be a suicide station. Double checking we don't have any hitchhikers. We don't. Off we go. Now, one thing I do recommend you do when you bring out a new station that you think is going to complete a contract is open up your contract window and double check that it's got all the different bits and pieces you're expecting. So if you'll notice, this is my orbital station in solar orbit. I have to put it in orbit around the sun, but it has... Get back here. And this is why I don't like the contract interface. It's got all the necessary parts, so double check before you launch if you want to save yourself a lot of hassle. That's not good. We want to control from there. There we go. Let's go to space. Now, while we're lifting off, something I think you guys might find interesting is, if you notice, I'm putting in raw time alarms for when I think I'm going to fly over sites for my different items. For example, my Moon High Polar Satellite, when my test UC is going to come into daylight. Actually, I can kill that one. The flyover for another site, things like that. And I've also started adding in notes, just to make my life a little easier. Right now, we're still 68 days out from Duna. I'm going to start feeling like time has gotten tight at 30 days to my transfer. That's when I'm going to start wanting to move everything. But for the moment, we're just still trying to build up some funds. Now, one of the things to remember for this particular station is that it's a suicide station. I don't care about its orbit. I don't care whether it's sane. All I care is that it gets at a Kerbal SOI. So we're never going to stop burning. My entire intent is to simply get enough speed. Now, in theory, if I went straight up, I might be able to do this more efficiently. And actually, I've been looking to test that out. I haven't been getting very many solar station contracts lately. So because of that, it's been hard for me to test to see if a straight-up launch is better than a curved launch of some form. At this point, we're just going to go for straight-up orbital speed. We've broken the solar plane. Now we're just going for speed. The faster this breaks orbital plane, or Kerbal SOI, the faster I get that contract slot back. And I'll just terminate this once it's out in solar orbit. That's not too bad. A little over a day and I'll have this in solar orbit and I'll get my contract slot back. Well, now, this is interesting. I am getting requested to build an orbital station around the moon built into a C-class asteroid. There's only one problem with that. I can't see asteroids. Lovely. Nice to know the contract system is working as designed. Alright, so we've got the Test 2E coming in on one of our landing sites, Finkelstein Sanity. I'm going to see if we can't bring this in and see how well our wheels work for landing gear. Alright, while we're doing our burn, we're going to bring in our solar panels. That's roughly close to where I wanted to be. We've got our surface burn going. Alright, now, let's see if I can get us aimed closer to our landing zone, so we don't have to fight with it. I've got plenty of fuel left inside our tank here, so I'm not too worried about burning off some of our juice to try and make our first landing a little more sane as to how far we got to drive around. That seems reasonably close. Let's see if I can't get closer to, directly over it. As long as I've got this nozzle on, I can do a pretty heavy-duty suicide burn before I switch over, so I'm not too concerned. We are dropping at a pretty good clip, though. Well, let me bleed some of that off. There we go. So what I'm trying to do is I'm hoping to get close by looking straight down. Well, that seems reasonable. What do you guys think? Close enough for me. So I can kill off some millimeters here. Alright, so I'm going to negate downward velocity. Zoom in while I do this. Okay. Now we're going to want to disconnect, switch units, flip ourselves over without tapping it. There we go. Engage our ion. Come on, engage the ions. I have no ion power. Come on. Alright, hang on. Activate. Activate. Okay, I have ion power. Let's get our solar panels out. That thing's gonna kaboom when it hits. Hopefully don't get hit by the debris that's bouncing around out there. Oof, that was close. Bring it in for a nice soft landing. Brakes are on. There we go. Alright, so I don't need landing gear. Now where'd that debris get off to? Let's see where that goes. Doesn't look like it's going to hit me. Note to self, get rid of that a little earlier. Neat explosion. Okay, we're fully charged up. Let's bring in our solar panels. We will switch control to here. Turn off SAS, switch to docking, shut off our brakes, and we'll go navigate over that way. Let's see if I can keep this thing from jamming up on the ground for no good reason anymore. No, come on, that way. There we go. Yeah, that's got some good speed to it. Doesn't look like it's jamming up. Alright. Whoa! Okay, let's be careful with the brakes from now on, shall we? That was, intense. Lucky, but intense. We'll grab our gravimetric. What the heck, we'll ship it home. Oh, I forgot to put a comm on this thing. Whoops! No, that's okay. Now review the data, we'll reset it. Whoopsies, forgot to put a comm on this. I guess the 2E needs a comm. Alright. Now let's see. Where do we go next? I would say in about... yeah, we'll say in about a day. ZVD57 will come into range, so... Actually, hang on. I wanted to change the name on this thing. Let's see here. Rename vessel. Make you a Rover. Get rid of all of this mess. Oh, no, wait. So I remember. I'm still pretty impressed at how bad those brakes almost took me out. Well, let's try that again. Add 1 day 0. Oh, no. 0. What's the name of that? ZVD57. ZVD57 LZ in daylight. So I'll remember to come check this and take it off and go send it over that way. While I'm there, I guess I'll pick up 8KQ KGD, which I believe is an over 10K, so when I take off, I'll go grab that one. And in the meanwhile, we've got other things going on. But I know it's this episode was wicked delayed, guys. I came down ill for a week, pretty bad, and it just ran me over. So my apologies for that. I'm hoping to get back on schedule here soon. I just didn't have enough material backed up to keep things going. But between that and work, I'm doing a lot of overtime right now. So schedules may be a little hairy for a little bit for me. But I am trying to keep up on things, and for the Furnace Clans fans, I've got one almost in the can. We're just waiting on a couple of things to finish up with the adamantine dig. But we'll get back to that. But in the meanwhile, that's going to end this episode of The Agency, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.